Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into a topic that, let's be honest, touches every single one of us: stress. We're going to break down what it is, how it actually works in your body, and most importantly, how you can start taking back the reins for a calmer life.
Yeah, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed, like you're just trying to keep your head above water, you are in very, very good company. Stress is a fundamental part of being human. But here's the thing, learning to manage it can literally change everything. This isn't about getting rid of stress, because that's impossible. It's about mastering it.
And just to show you how big of a deal this is, it's not just a personal feeling. Stress has a massive, and I mean massive, economic footprint. We are talking $300 billion with a B. That's the annual cost to US companies from things like people calling in sick, quitting their jobs, and just not being able to perform at their best. It's a huge issue. So, if we want to get a handle on stress, we first have to understand what it is. What's actually going on inside our bodies when we feel that pressure building? Well, it all comes down to this brilliance, but sometimes kind of overactive internal alarm system we all have. And the first step to controlling it is knowing how it works. You've probably heard of this, the fight or flight response. It's this ancient survival mechanism that's literally hardwired into our DNA. See, when your brain perceives a threat, and it doesn't care if it's a saber-toothed tiger or just a really passive-aggressive email, it flips a switch to get your body ready for action. So how does that switch actually work? Well, it's a whole hormonal cascade. First, a little part of your brain called the hypothalamus basically sounds the alarm. That signals your adrenal glands to pump out adrenaline. That's why your heart starts pounding and you feel super alert all of a sudden. And if the stress keeps coming, the backup system kicks in, releasing cortisol to keep you fired up. Now, this whole system is fantastic for short bursts of what we call acute stress. It helps you slam on the brakes to avoid an accident or pull an all-nighter to meet a deadline. The real problem starts when that alarm system just never shuts off. That's chronic stress, and that's where things get dangerous. When your body is just constantly flooded with stress hormones day in and day out, it takes a serious toll. We're talking about everything from digestive problems and weight gain to way more serious things like a higher risk of heart disease and a weakened immune system. It's a physical state that just wears you down over the long haul. Okay, so knowing the biology is step one. But step two is learning how to control the source. And believe it or not, a lot of that starts right between your ears. So let's talk about how you can actually rewire your thinking to get back in the driver's seat. A really powerful way to do this is through something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. The idea at its core is actually super simple, but it's revolutionary. The way you think has a direct impact on how you feel and what you do. So if you can change the thought, you can change the whole emotional chain reaction. What CDT helps us do is spot these automatic negative thought patterns. You know what I'm talking about, right? Do you ever find yourself immediately jumping to the absolute worst-case scenario? That's called catastrophic thinking, or seeing things as either a total win or a complete disaster with no middle ground. That's black and white thinking. These are just mental habits, but they pour gasoline on the fire of stress. So, how do we actually do this? Well, it's a pretty simple three-step process. First, you just identify the thought. Don't judge it, just notice it. Second, you challenge it. You ask yourself, is this thought 100% true? What's another way to look at this? And third, you reframe it. You find a more balanced, less extreme perspective. This is how you start to take back control of your own story. All right, let's switch gears and move to the physical side of things, because sometimes you just need a tool to turn down that biological alarm right now. So here are a couple of powerful techniques you can use anytime, anywhere to soothe your body. When your heart is racing and you can feel your breathing get all shallow, it can really feel like you've lost control, but you haven't. These next two exercises are proven ways to directly tell your body's stress response, hey, it's okay, we can calm down now. First up, the calming breath. This could not be simpler, but it's so effective. Just find a comfortable spot. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 5. Really feel your belly expand. Then, breathe out just as slowly through your mouth, also for a count of 5. Do that for just a few minutes, and you're sending a direct signal to your nervous system that the threat has passed. Another amazing one is progressive muscle relaxation. The idea here is to intentionally tense up a muscle group, like make a really tight fist. Hold that tension for about 5 seconds, and then just let it all go. The real magic is in noticing that feeling of release, the difference between tense and relaxed.
You can work your way through your whole body like this, and you'll release physical stress you didn't even know you were holding on to. Okay, so we've got mental tools and we've got in-the-moment physical techniques. Now, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. Let's talk about building a lifestyle that makes you more resilient to stress in the first place, so it doesn't hit you as hard.
And one of the most powerful tools we have for this is, you guessed it, exercise. It's not just for your physical health. Study after study shows that regular physical activity literally builds your emotional resilience, making you better at handling stress when it shows up. So what does that actually look like? Well, the prescription is pretty clear. You're aiming for 3 to 5 sessions a week of stuff like jogging, swimming, or even yoga for about half an hour to an hour each time. And the why here is so important. It physically lowers your levels of the stress hormone cortisol while giving you a natural hit of those feel-good chemicals, endorphins. Next up, sleep, the absolute foundation for everything else. And we're not just talking about getting more hours. We're talking about good sleep hygiene. That's the whole set of habits and practices that set you up for high-quality rest, which is when your body and mind actually repair themselves. For most of us, that magic number is somewhere between 7 and 9 hours a night, and the connection to stress couldn't be more direct. When you don't get enough sleep, your body produces more cortisol the next day. It makes you way more reactive and kicks off a really vicious cycle. Seriously, prioritizing sleep is one of the best stress management strategies out there. And finally, let's not forget the power of connection. We are social animals, you know? Having people you can actually talk to, friends, family, colleagues, who can just listen or offer a new perspective, that is a massive buffer against stress. It reminds you you're not going through it all alone. So, we've gone through the biology, the mindset, the physical tools, and the lifestyle habits. What's the single most important idea to take away from all of this? Well, it really comes down to one simple word: control. You see, a huge driver of stress is that feeling of powerlessness. When it feels like things are just happening to you, stress goes through the roof. But the simple act of taking control, no matter how small the action is incredibly empowering. Every single technique we've talked about today is a tool to help you do exactly that. Look, we're never going to eliminate stress completely. It's part of living a full, meaningful life. But we absolutely do not have to be victims to it. The choice is yours. So the real question is, what's one thing you'll do this week to take back control? Thanks for joining me.